Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Coded Talks. I wanted to welcome and take this opportunity to have a very special guest on this edition of Coded Talks, Mr. Khaled Al Maeena from my hometown in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. This gentleman needs absolutely no introduction. He is an absolute incredible humanist. He's a journalist for many, many decades, knows the world inside out, is a champion cause in the world of education. Is someone who I've read on all since my childhood, Khaled Al Maeena, and actually discuss about the future of education in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Now, Saudi Arabia, through His Royal Highness Mohammed bin Salman, has gone through incredible changes over the last 2 years and continues to go through incredible changes. And education and healthcare and the adapting of technology with the young population of Saudi Arabia is at the forefront. And I really would like to have this discussion with him to see what he feels and to see whether we are on the right track, whether the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is on the right track, to not just to be at par with the world, but even to lead the world in this kind of adapting, especially during COVID time. And it's a great pleasure to have you here. So welcome, first of all, on Coded Talks, Mr. Khaled.
Shukran, and thank you very much for having me on. And I'm sure the subject that you chose is very appealing because it's very close to my heart.
Excellent. I'm so happy to hear that. What are your thoughts overall on education? And then second of all, in the kingdom where it really matters, where we are also planning on launching.
Well, I think education around the globe, with a few features here and there, is designed for people or young people so that they will grow up and get a job. Now that is changing.
Yes.
You go to school in Saudi Arabia, 12 years, طيب تروح كلية طب or كلية هندسة, which means either engineering or medical, تصير مهندس. The idea is to have a status. You don't get knowledge, you just go and do the road system and then you memorize and you get through, even in the universities. But now that's changing because the new job that is there has a different type of ideology. And I use the word ideology for the job. It's going to be competitive, it's going to be fierce, it's going to be somebody who is savvy, who has the skills to improvise, to hip shoot, to do things that are not necessarily within the parameter of what they learned. So now to be a muhandis or an engineer, you got to take an MBA in management. You just can't be an engineer because the engineer manages. I'll give you an example of the Arab News. Previously, when I joined, and I joined at a very young age, it was an accident that I went there. And we used to have translators. So there would be a translator who would translate, and then from Arabic to English, then he would write by hand, usually a Sudanese gentleman or an Egyptian. Then you would have an Indian gentleman type it, and then the typist will send it to the editor. Right now, you don't have that. We have later on, as the years progress, you had a translator who translates from Arabic to English, edits his own copy and sends it to the page.
Yes.
So you see, you locked out 2 or 3 people. So translators also became transliterators and they became editors. So you see how the job changed. So that was one.
Yeah.
So I think education is on the move. People want to have skills. They want to have something where you match even AI, artificial intelligence. So the human being who gets educated has really to fight with the computer, because at one stage they might even lose their jobs. So I think that is what education is all about. It gives you knowledge, it gives you skills, it gives you the personality to interact with people.
Correct. So do you not think that the theoretical aspect of education needs to be really toned down, to maybe 10% of the overall thing, and skills and it should be focused?
Well, yes, I'm not an educator, but I am in a position to speak because my son was appointed recently or last year as the principal of a school he went to himself, Dar al-Fikr School, which is a very
MashaAllah,
well-known
yes.
school there.
Very
And he
well
has
known.
done a lot of things. But across Saudi Arabia, there has been a trend in the last 7-8 years where schools are teaching more on, the intellect and the mind involvement rather than just learning from books and all. So you will see many schools, and if you come to Jeddah, and I'll introduce you like to the Noon Academy, to the KBS school, Dar al-Fikr school, other schools who are using very modern methods of technology, modern methods of management, and learn. And it will be a surprise to many that, the Corona thing that came, even before that, there was distance learning where schools would give you 2 days off. So you go to school 3 days a week or thrice a week, and then 2 days you are at home, where you even wear the uniform at home and you're in front of your computer. Now, I think the Corona also helped a lot. It has helped a lot. It has helped business, people working from home, distance learning. I see schools, even in the government schools, the government has now 2 channels where people do their homework through those channels. So I think the Saudi Arabia of today is not the Saudi Arabia of 4 years ago or even 6 years. I mean, it's really gone ahead. All we got to do is to, really get good technology, you get good systems and good methodology and good teachers, so that you will combine all this and make people go into the mainstream.
Absolutely, I think you're absolutely correct. I think under the sort of guidance of His Royal Highness King Salman and His Royal Highness Mohammed bin Salman, I think the kingdom Saudi Arabia 2.0 is really progressing and making some very interesting strides. And I'm obviously very proud of some of the changes that have occurred. But obviously, the pace at which they're changing is quite amazing. And how the kingdom is sort of opening itself up, I suppose, to the world, which we've all known living there is one thing, but to the outside world. And I think education. Do you not feel that in terms of the young population of the kingdom, right? It's such a, I think 60-70% of the population is under the age of 22, 23 years old. So they're hungry, they're young, and jobs in the future is going to be a massive challenge, right? And so do you feel that the kingdom has, is ready, or it needs to be ready to tackle that major, population requirement?
Well, I think it is ready. If you notice something in the last 3 years, of the Upshir, where you get exit, re-entry, get everything is done by Upshir. And
it's
I
amazing.
used to be shocked before I grew up, and I'm sure you also grew up, to have something called the Mu'aggib, or the coordinator, who takes your khuruj, who gets your servant, who goes to get the license. Now, everything is done from the 4 confines of my office or my bedroom, or even sitting in my house. So in that case, technology has helped a lot. The government also has infused education with technology. And this distance learning is being done by a lot of schools. It is going to be a bit painful because some people will lose jobs as teachers and all. But then in the long run, education, the office system, people are now going to smaller offices, asking their staff not to come 5 days a week, to come 2 days a week, share a desk. So I think this Corona thing has been a great boon for the IT, and the Saudi mindset has changed. Now they have, instead with Upshir, the hunger station, a young boy did it. Then you had Kareem, a gentleman from Mecca, with a Pakistani gentleman in Dubai. You have many coming, hospitals. So the Saudis have taken to technology like fish has taken to water. I am appalled that people, who don't believe in technology, but at the same time amazed at how young Saudis really are going up and ahead, despite the language barrier. Both men and women have got so many of these apps going on that if a little bit more is done, and instead of building malls, money will be spent, angel investors, equity financing, and things that I think we can go ahead by leaps and bounds.
Absolutely correct. I mean, I think you're absolutely 100% correct. And I'm so proud of the fact that, Saudi Arabia, I think regionally, and not just regionally, even pan-regionally is leading that, with the young, hungry population really wanting to, easily adapting to this change that is going on. But let me ask you another question. I mean, there are different people in from different walks of life. They come from different backgrounds and different circumstances, if you will. Now, one thing that we want to touch upon is affordability. You mentioned some of the big academies, the Noon academies of this world. That you have Dar al-Fikr and all these wonderful schools that are there in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. But affordability from a tuition fee perspective, obviously not everyone can go to those schools, right? When you come to a little bit affordability aspect in let's say the government schools, or let's say some of the other schools, where the tuition fee is perhaps still it's low, but it's still relatively high, where technology has not been adapted, right? So affordability as an aspect to versus technology, of what we're talking about. I mean, I think inshallah, when we get a chance, we will discuss Hope Academy is something that we are also initiating. I'm sure you will hear about it soon from us. But in the kingdom, so a little bit on the affordability aspect. Can you touch upon that?
Because not everybody is rich.
Yes.
And not everybody is poor.
Correct.
A happy median.
Correct.
And I think these are the people that one can teach. There are many expatriate kids in Saudi Arabia. If we can teach those people,
yes,
and go to those like the Filipino schools, the Indians, the Pakistani schools, other schools and all, and go to them, that also will be helpful. But
yes.
Instead of going 5 days school, they can go 2 or 3 days, and the rest there. And nowadays, iPads and laptops are much cheaper than before.
Yes.
So we could do that.
I mean, what about the government? I mean, you touched upon the government. Do you feel that the government is right behind this? I mean, they want this as well, adapting to technology, and they're looking to perhaps international organizations as well. Maybe even us, for example, we're in 6 countries already in different parts of the world doing what we are doing. Do you think the government is also helping and it will back the right partner?
Yes, I think the government is very keen. It all saves them money. So I truly believe that.
And I think even from an adult education perspective, if we kind of, to make one sort of point, adult education or executive education, as you rightly pointed out, Sabic, Aramco, all these wonderful blue chips, if you will, but even in the other parts, other sectors, even they should be, teaching their or reskilling their staff with more updated skills of the 21st century.
I agree with you 100%, because continuing education is going to be the key thing. You would also have about 60 students who would like to do a master's degree in something or the other. So we can combine them and put them on.
Yeah.
They will be able to do that. Because haram people are coming from outside. And when you have a company that is a native company, it is much better than somebody coming from outside.
I wanted to have a closing remark from you in terms of where, in summary of where the kingdom is today and where it's going in the near future as far as education is concerned and adopting to technology.
Yes, I think today it is on the right track. It has come a long way since the last 4 years, not only because of the government, because there are so many young people who don't want to be left behind. Many of the young Saudis want to be passengers on the train of life and progress, and not mere bystanders. The government is given, and I truly believe, and I call a spade, that the Vision 2030 lays a lot of stress on IT, technology, other things. So I think they want to go ahead. And that will come when you have in every facet of life. So it's the government, education, business, Everything is now done through IT.
You touched upon a very good word, determination. I think determination, if you have that determination and if you have the drive and the hunger in the population to bring this change, then I think there's nothing really stopping you, because the country has all the resources on its fingertips, and the government, the backing of the government, so I think we have all the ingredients to drive the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to 2030 vision and beyond, to adapt to and change education, be the forefront of it.
Yes, and they know that without a proper 21st century education, nothing is going to happen. So this is very important.
Correct.
This is very important.
Absolutely.
That not only gets you a job, because many jobs are going to be obsolete. Let's be very frank. Many jobs are going to be obsolete, and therefore you have to be one step ahead of AI or artificial intelligence.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Absolutely. Anyway, thank you so much, Mr. Khaled Al Maeena. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Coded Talks. I hope that, you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. It's a very nostalgic episode for me as well, because courtesy of the gentleman who was there. So with that, I'd like to thank you very much and thank everyone for joining us on this edition of Coded Talks. Thank you very much.